Hello and welcome. This is the MVP podcast, and today we're going to be talking a little bit of cricket because obviously it's in the air. SA20 just ended. The Proteas women are playing Pakistan in a T20 series, and the Proteas men are in the T20 World Cup. Now, the reason why I'm sitting here and Neil is not the one who's introing is because Neil didn't really want to do this episode, to be honest. He's got this opinion, he's got this purist mindset saying T20, what's that? So we're going to discuss that and a whole bunch of other stuff in this episode.
Ray, thanks. You're right. I said to Ray, please do it. Do we have to do cricket? Well, people who've known me for, I've got a lot of loves. And cricket, I'm fairly neutral. It's not like I don't, because if there's the Ashes on, I don't miss a ball.
Right.
So the 5-day test stuff is my game. But just to give it some history, for those people who are maybe in my age group, we suffered, long before you guys came along and the Proteas were doing well.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
What was so bad about it?
That everybody used to call us, chokers.
Yep.
That horrible word was floating around. But the reality of it was that we got ourselves in positions in world cricket where we should have done better. I mean, I know you're a traditionalist in many respects. So
Yes.
if I throw names at you, whether it be John T. Rhodes, Lance Klusener, Alan Donald, and, we had the best world all-rounder of all time in Jacques Callis, who I think is probably one of the greatest cricketers ever across the planet. And we never won anything. It's like, what's going on? Herschel
Was amazing as well, yeah.
Hansi as a captain, I know he was eventually well-documented disgrace. Did you know, by the way, I'm completely off the point, did you know who the first witness was at the Hansi Cronje trial?
I don't. What?
Yeah. But
You were the first one?
Yeah, I was the first one.
Wow.
Long story, it's not for discussion now. So I feel I'm in a position to talk about Hansi. So, so the point is, right, it was this continuous, as a South African, I'm sitting down, I'm watching the Proteas, come on, come on.
Every time.
Every time. And, eventually you got worn down with it. You look at Bafana, we won an AFCON. We've gone into a few doldrums, but there's been a few things to give you hope.
Sparks.
And then, of course, the Springboks have just rewritten everything. So all of a sudden, I felt as an individual with a lot of kids at home, if I've got limited time to watch cricket, no thanks.
That's not the one. And it's interesting that you mentioned Test cricket because that's where you really have a lot of hopes up, or you had a lot of hopes up for the Proteas. What is it about Test cricket that stood out to you, and why do you love it and champion it so much?
Well, it's interesting. I think, listen, I don't want to sound like an old fogey, which I am.
You're not.
But the life, thanks. But television has changed.
Yes.
And life has changed. And so we all know about, immediate gratification. And we've got those, what are the dopamine fixes that we're all looking for? So I'm aware of that. And we were talking off air about the youngsters these days.
Yeah.
Which is true, I suppose. If you give kids a bat and a ball, all they want to do is hit it out of the park.
Sixes.
Sixes is what it's about. So if you're trying to coach a youngster about, as a bowler, line and length, and this is how you
target these areas,
or as a batsman, how you protect your wickets. Those aren't a priority anymore. And I do understand, I'm not ignorant enough to not realize that all the money is in short-form cricket. We've seen that with the players now.
Yeah.
But I think that the basis of being a brilliant cricketer is getting your raw disciplines right, your line and length. So it's all very well being quick, but it's no good being quick if you're bowling 4 wides and over, right?
Yeah, that would be a waste, honestly.
So it's a bit of a balance. So, I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I just think, well, if I go back, the game's changed.
It has.
It's changed.
It's evolved massively. And it's interesting you mentioned that. So I ran through a bit of research and stuff earlier, and there's a survey that says there were a few cricketers interviewed in 2019 about which format stands out to them.
Right.
And about 80% of them said Test cricket is the one that makes me feel valued as a cricketer.
Yes.
That's the one where I really prove myself. 5 years later, they do the same survey, and it went from 80% preferring that to 40-something%.
Wow.
So less than half of all modern cricketers prefer Test cricket over
And I
short
do
format
get that
cricket.
because you have to feed your kids, right?
Yep.
And you want to live a certain life. You don't want to stay. You want to stay in a Santon penthouse. You don't want to be staying next to Neil Andrews. So the money, you've got to follow the money. But it's interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating you say that. And that doesn't surprise me. But if I've had the great pleasure of working with a lot of Australians over the period I used to do these. When they used to come here or we were over there, you'd have a captain's series that was sponsored by some big banks.
Yeah.
And so I'd have Ricky Ponting on the one side, Graham Smith on the other, and we'd have a banter session. But having done work like that, for the Australians to receive the baggy green, to put that on, there's a deep tradition of you following the Australian greats. And so it doesn't surprise me that that's just eased off. But I think a lot of, even South African test cricketers still want to play the 5-day format.
I agree. And I mean, we recently just won the World Test Championship
yeah,
final.
For me, now that so I dissed them a little bit early on.
Yeah,
we threw out the word chokers. But to be fair, that to me, and when I saw Timber, I said to him, dude, that is proper.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, old fogey that I am, is proper cricket. And I'm not saying we all want to win like now.
Of course.
I mean, I check, okay, we beat Canada, yay, let's move on. So I'll watch it a little bit. But for me, the essence of cricket. So I did a little bit of research as well, actually, because I remembered in my mind there was this famous timeless test. I don't know if you ever heard of the timeless test.
Yeah.
1939, right? Okay, so I'm not saying we should go back to these days, but because you can't, right? I mean, people are struggling to watch one 5-day test.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I've entered the wrong pin. You see, when you can't remember your own pin. So it was a 12-day test, Ray. The longest cricket test in match history between England and South Africa in Durban, which spanned 12 days, 10 actual days of playing from March the 3rd to March the 14th, 1939. I think Terry Payne was 40 in 1939. The match ended in a draw. Okay, I'm going to come to that now. England needed 42 runs. But what was brilliant about that, you know why it ended? Because the English had to take the ship home. Because there weren't aeroplanes.
There weren't airplanes.
So it's part of the reason why I love horse racing as well. You can go back centuries and, jockeys and horses were being raced and stuff. And I don't want to lose that history of it. So the timeless test ended because they had to get back on the ship and go home. The thing is, coming back to it though, like your observations on this as a young guy watches TV, is that the money is there, but also modern day life, we don't have time to sit down and watch 5. Well, a lot of people don't. Same thing with the Tour de France. I mean, how many people actually have a chance now to watch every single stage?
It's very rare.
I used to. I can't anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sport has moved. It just fascinates me how it has changed.
It is fascinating, and also the jump from generation to generation, because the modern cricket fan, think of SA20 for example. SA20 is now probably the second biggest T20 franchise tournament in the world after the IPL. And this season, from what we saw, from what we were able to cover, there's a lot of young fans. They're holding up posters for 6s and 4s, so it encourages them to want to look at short format cricket like that. But for South Africa, and for I think pure South African fans, or purists rather, look at Test cricket, especially the fact that we won it now, as the real sort of staple to say we should be muscling in amongst the Indias, the Australias, and the Englands. Do you kind of see us doing that through short format first? Or do we still need to do more in Test cricket to really muscle our way?
I'm going to simplify it, and people are going to say, oh, Neil, how simplified have you made that? But I'm thinking that the fickle nature of the game is get in there. Certainly in quick format, you don't want someone building an innings.
Nope.
You haven't got time to build an innings. And also the people in the stadium, I understand that. So a friend of mine took his kids, and actually a lot of friends of mine, Gavin Larena, the jockey, took his kids there. And I'm sure that the boy doesn't want to see, oh, well, this chap Brevis is building a brilliant innings here. Like,
they just want to see sixes.
That's not the nature of it.
Yeah.
So I do understand that. And what I'm saying, there's a market for both. But also, just going back to the Test cricket thing, the Ashes, the great thing about the Ashes is that it's an extended Test series.
Yes.
So you were telling me now we've got a great season coming up. Australia come here, then we go to Australia, England are coming. If I was being really picky, I'd love to see 5 Tests. I think there's only 3.
There's 3, yes.
There's 3. At least there's 3, because we at one stage had this situation where there were 2. So
I think
you could
that's
draw a
Bangladesh.
test series.
There's Bangladesh later in the year.
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna come in
that's
for
facts.
true.
I want someone to win not only a test, I want them to win the test series.
100%.
You know, you can't. Well, you can win 2-0, but frequently, you know, with the nature of the game,
usually 1-1.
and there's a draw or something. You know, but I understand that the modern generation is watching. It's the Americans, for example,
Yes.
with soccer. I've got an American family, and my stepdad could never figure out. It was what happened in last night's game. So I said, "Oh, it was a hell of a game." He said, "What was the score?" I said, "It was 0-0, but what a game!"
and then he
said,
didn't get it.
0-0. Nobody scored a goal. No, and he said, "How can you watch that?" So, and obviously he's
Yep.
older than me, so maybe it's not a generation thing.
It might not be, but yeah, this debate is intense, and it's probably going to carry on. See now, this tournament. Are you going to watch any of this World Cup, the T20 World Cup, where the Proteas are in?
Yeah, I'm not. It's not that I'm deciding not to watch it. I just got busy. We have to come in here.
Fair.
We're doing Champions League. We've got the playbook. There's a lot of things going on, plus home life. So it's not like I'm not watching it. If it does, and certainly when we get to semis and quarterfinals,
When it heats up.
I'll do. But that's the other thing, of course, is that we're blessed at SuperSport. There is
Yes.
so much to watch.
Yes.
Can you actually physically watch it all? So let's go back to our football, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got Premier League, and we've got Champions League,
Yeah.
and we've got Domestic League. But now on ESPN through the DSTV, there's also Championship. So now I like Southampton. I want to watch Southampton. Then I've got a friend of mine who likes Ipswich.
You watch
know,
Ipswich.
blah, 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 blah. Yeah, how can you watch it all?
Like
So,
Frank Lampard, you watch Coventry?
no.
Oh, okay.
I don't like. Do you like Frank Lampard?
He's-
Sorry, Frank. He's not on my hit list.
He's Chelsea's
Great
greatest goal
footballer.
scorer.
Huh?
He's Chelsea's greatest goal
Yeah,
scorer.
no. I know. Let me establish that as a midfielder and as an attacking midfielder, great player. I'm talking as a coach.
As a coach, oh yeah,
Coach.
50-50.
Yeah, you're being nice. But the bottom line, there's a lot out there. So,
Yes.
so what do you watch? So, yeah, to answer your question, no. If the Proteas go deep into the tournament, I'll be obviously cheering them on.
It'll be Test cricket in November. But for
Yes.
now, we have to go through T20 cricket and a bit of ODI as well with the Proteas women.
Can I ask you something? Because you're watching more than me. So my tentacles of information are out there, and people tell me the Zimbabwean team are very good. They're underrated. Have you
Yes.
seen? Is that true?
Yeah.
There's
so
someone whose opinion I really respect said to me, "Hey,
Watch
these
out.
guys, are good. Is that? Can we shout them?"
We can.
Okay.
They're going to be dark horses for the World Cup. They already started off with an impressive victory in their first match. I think if they make Super 8s, they're one of the teams to genuinely watch in the tournament. But in this short format, they look really, really good. They've got a
Yeah.
lot of promising talent, and I think they've got all the makings of a dark horse that can go far in the tournament.
So here's a question for you. I'm playing devil's advocate here. If you were a cricketer, modern day cricketer,
Yeah.
and I said to you, right, in your career, you've only got an opportunity to win one of these. The T20 World Cup, the Limited Overs 50 World Cup, this is just called the World Cup, I suppose,
Yeah.
ICC World Cup, or
Mace.
the Test cricket, which we recently won.
If I had to choose between the Mace, the ODI, and then the T20.
I know if you lifted the Test one, you say that's amazing. I've just a terrible pun.
I
sorry.
probably would, if I'm the way I just approach sports is purely. So I guess I'd prefer to win the Mace because I think that's the biggest
You
stamp.
see, you cut from the same cloth as I am. But I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't answer that.
Yeah, that's the
same way.
debate. Because my generation, my peers, or people around my age group probably prefer T20 cricket.
Yeah.
And that's where sort of the division lies. And that there's people who are of a certain vintage that prefer Test cricket because that's the one. That's the proven ground. With this one, it's 2-3 hours in and out, so you never really know.
So here's another curveball. I don't know how much time we've got.
We've got
already
like a
to
minute
wrap up.
and a
We've got a
half.
minute and a half. But here's a thought for you and for all our viewers watching MVP. Test cricket has now gone to T20, right? In between it went to 50s.
Yes.
Are we going to see the same thing with football? Are people going to say in 5 years, 90 minutes? Are you joking? I haven't got time to watch 90 minutes. An extra time. No chance.
Arsene Wenger already won 60-minute halves. 60-minute games.
There you go. But it might even be shorter. I
Yeah.
mean, why, if all other sport has gone that way, horse racing, by the way, we were involved, Hope, who was on the MVP talent, was involved with me in this. We had short form horse racing where we
Wow.
concertinaed and there was 12 minutes between races. So watch the space. Once this happened to cricket, Rugby ain't 80 minutes of rugby is way too long, guys. I got 25 minutes here. You need to. Springboks must win in 22 minutes.
It's going to be, if that happens with every sport, I think we might genuinely lose the fabric of what we do.
Well, it has happened in rugby, hasn't it? Sevens.
It has, yes.
Sevens is that?
Yeah. But it depends. I guess it's going to be different strokes at this point. It's a tricky time. But yeah, this is how we wrap up this episode. For someone who didn't want to talk about cricket and its formats, he has gone in. And if you are one of the people who believe in Test cricket or T20 cricket, let us know in the comment section. But yeah, until next time, cheers.